All right, guys, we're back. Sorry about that. I had to take that quick break. I thought I had everything silenced and muted, but I didn't. So I apologize. But today's episode is going to be on drugs and addiction and how we overcame that, man. Because I want people to be more strong-minded and have a way out than to sit there and be miserable and think that they have only to die is their only way out. Because I'm sick of that mindset, and I'm sick of our youth having that mindset. And I think it's time that our generation stand up, because there's a lot of broken homes that don't have fathers, and it's what they used to say when I was a kid is it takes a community to raise a kid, and I don't think that's changed at all. For the simple fact that no one's ever home. No one's ever home. Everybody's at work. So what are your kids doing? What are your kids doing right now? Literally, it's summertime. I'm sure you're at work. They're at the pool. Who are they at the pool with? What are they doing? Who are they riding around town with? You know what I'm saying? Gabe. Gabe is not only a good lifelong friend, but now my cousin.
Yeah.
Thank you for being here, Gabe.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Welcome to the show.
Absolutely.
We have been trying this for
man.
weeks, man, and we've had some technical issues going on, and I think now we finally got them cleared up. So I'm glad to be here. Let me double check everything real quick, make sure. Yep, we seem to be going good.
Absolutely good.
Gabe, man, how you been?
Been good, brother, man. Yeah, man. On that note about the era we grew up in, I was just thinking about that. I was having a conversation literally with somebody yesterday about that. A young girl that I work with. We were just sitting down and watching the TV, old school channel with the older movies. I forget what was playing. Oh, Footloose was playing. And she was like, "Man, it'd have been cool to grow up during that time." I'm like, man, it was definitely a different time, definitely a better time where we weren't all sucked in our phones. So
Yeah,
but yeah, it's kind of funny you touch on that subject because I was literally having that conversation yesterday. But I think she was talking about the hair. She loved the women's hair. I love their hair.
all teased, all teased, and everything
It
like
was all
that.
about the volume. I was like, it was all about the volume back in those days.
It
You know
was
what I mean?
all that hairspray,
Yeah.
the movie Hairspray. That's where I got it, probably.
Yeah. Oh, it's absolutely where they got it.
But man, my question is, what do you think today's problem is? What leads into drugs today is compared to when we was young? Is it the same thing, different, stress?
Yeah, a lot of the same thing. I think it's a lot of the social constructs, like you were just saying a little bit ago. Like, who are your kids hanging out with, dude? Like, definitely your circle matters.
It does, dude.
I mean, I think that's how I got caught up in my drug addiction myself. Just wanted to kind of fit in.
Fit in.
Didn't have my own identity really, and
Purpose.
So, yeah, no purpose, no identity, no calling, no direction, and so that's basically what got me sucked into drugs, just being around the wrong crowd. So I think that's something definitely we got to pay attention to with our kids because don't want them repeating anything we did. So
Yeah, definitely. Yesterday, man, I had a conversation, little episode on a different podcast, but we was talking about toxic masculinity, and I feel like not, you know, in a broken home, if you don't figure yourself out, it can be toxic, and I feel like that is a huge part of where what you're saying starts, like your purpose, your structure in life. Where is it? Where your discipline? Broken homes don't have it, so it's easy, and it doesn't even have to be a broken home, right? Because my parents were married, but I still found drugs. You know what I'm saying? So it's what we show our kids. Not really. Who cares what we say to them? Because half the time they don't even listen anyways to what the heck we tell them.
no,
We end up having to go back and yell at them anyways because they didn't listen.
yeah,
But what we show them, what they see us do or what they know that we do, obviously I feel like some of that is it's facts. It comes from bloodline and genes.
yeah,
But even if it's not a broken home, if your parents still struggle with drugs, and that's what you see them do, eventually, that cycle's going to continue.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like in your case was different than mine, right? You came from a broken home, mine weren't, but
Yeah.
somehow we still found drugs.
Yeah.
Um, and so you said yours started with your friends, your crowd. Was that school?
Yeah.
School crowd?
Yeah. School crowd. Well, friends obviously met from school, so.
Yeah. How easy was it to start finding what? Obviously, I think most of us probably started with marijuana, smoking a little weed, a little tweed.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely smoking weed was definitely that
Yeah.
starter, that gateway drug as they called it. But it's not necessarily a gateway drug. Any drug you're around initially can be a gateway drug. I mean, cigarettes, alcohol, whatever you do first is going to be your gateway drug. I mean, you
Nicotine.
experienced it. Yeah, you experienced that first high, and then you're kind of wide open to whatever's left, to whatever's next. So
Right.
as far as that goes, but yeah, absolutely, the crowd I was hanging out with in school, partying, just wanting to fit in, man. Having no structure, dude. It's important to teach our kids structure. So I try to implement that in my kids as well, or instill that in them as well. Yeah. So just parent life, man. Just kind of being more.
I feel that.
Adamant about what I'm teaching them and telling them.
Yeah, and like when was the first time you finally was like, all right, this is trouble for me? What happened that you found drugs were a problem for you?
Well, man, getting in trouble obviously was the start of it, but I didn't necessarily think I had a problem at that time. I think I was just, which I really didn't. I was just making bad decisions at that time. But getting in trouble as a juvenile, going to juvenile detention at the age of 16, JDC, which is just the detention center, and then onto the juvenile prison in Cuyahoga Hills. So where I spent a little bit of time there as well was definitely a wake up call for me. But peer pressure still wins out, man. As long as if you don't have no direction and no discipline, you're definitely gonna fall back into those traps. And I did after getting out of there, so it didn't take very long.
What was it that got you in that trouble?
Yeah, getting in that trouble in the first place, bro. Just being in high school, going to parties, and eventually messing around with cocaine and missing a lot of school. I got in trouble for truancy.
Hold on, back up real quick if you don't mind.
No, you're good.
You said you jumped into cocaine. That was a quick jump from weed to cocaine. How'd that? Let's go back to that story. Where did that start? Was that what got you in trouble?
Yeah, the cocaine did. Yeah, well, that was after being truant from school. I was just missing a lot of school, and it wasn't necessarily from a drug problem. It was just from being lazy, to be honest with you. So I got truant. Then I got in juvenile probation from that, and then going to parties and doing cocaine. I just did some. It was my first time actually even ever doing it, and it just so happened to be the first time I had to see my probation officer like the next day or something, and I had no clue what probation is about. I didn't know I was gonna get drug tested. You know what I mean? I didn't know I was gonna have to drop.
Going into probation, as a kid.
Yeah, I didn't know I was a kid. I had no clue what that was about. So just kind of ignorant kid doing cocaine, going to see my PO the next day, having no clue what's in store for me.
Damn, at 16.
Yeah, 16. I think I had my 17th birthday when I was in juvenile prison. When I was in there. Yeah, but at 16, yeah. So, yep, and a lot of them kids were all doing it there, dude. It's crazy.
And that's crazy because it's most parents don't think in a small town like Defiance that's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen everywhere,
Yeah.
And that's the sad part is that drugs have infiltrated everywhere.
Yeah.
And crazy story that's different as far as kids and things that's going on around the world. I heard at one point the youngest person that they found to be pregnant was like almost in elementary school, dude. Isn't that wild?
I believe it.
That's first off insane.
Yeah.
To think that somebody that's still in elementary school would have the idea of getting pregnant or having sex.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then to think, everything happens faster in these days. Everything's faster, quicker. So if cocaine was circling around at 16, I wonder what's the youngest age these kids are starting to mess around with crazy drugs now. Dude.
Yeah.
That's awful. So anyways, back to that. You go to probation, first day in probation, you get dropped. Did they do it was automatic another charge, PV? What was it? What happened?
Oh yeah, automatic charge. And what's it? Internal possession. They like to call it. Like that's such a stupid. That's such a stupid charge, internal possession. But whatever, that's what they called it. So yeah, that was another charge on top of my truancy charge, and I had already done a few days in JDC. So after that, I failed for the cocaine, and then I was off to juvenile prison after that, and yeah. So as a young kid who was pretty much grew up in a Christian home, pretty sheltered, I'd say even didn't really get to experience a lot.
Now, do you feel because you were sheltered, that's what made you kind of want to break out?
Yeah, I think maybe a little bit, yeah, for sure, but not totally. Just really not. I think really the absence of a father what makes the difference in a home. To be honest with you, but especially in your growing years, but just really no direction, no sense of purpose. They know how to be a man. Young boys don't know how to be a man. They're trying to figure things out for themselves, and that's a recipe for disaster. So that's what I did.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's crazy. And any of your friends try to help you out, or they were just gone as soon as it happened?
Oh no, I mean we're all young, we're all kids, dude.
Yeah.
Obviously I don't think it has to do too much with kids wanting to help you out. I think it just has to do with kids being kids, and we're all just kind of doing what we want to do at that age.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm sure I had a lot of love, but people are just doing their own thing, including myself. So until I got myself in that situation in the first place, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I guess looking back now, what could you tell parents or adults? What signs should they start looking for?
Well, I think obviously being intentional about who your kids are, and intentional about wanting to know who your kids are hanging around with matters. You know what I'm saying? And what they're doing, and just being a teacher, because I don't know, I don't think, and it wasn't that my mom didn't want to invest much time into what I was doing and how I thought, my thought process about things, but she was the only one working in the house, so, and we weren't on welfare. I remember we were at one point at a real young age. My mom didn't want to be on that. She didn't want to be dependent on the government. So
Yeah.
she was working. She wanted to work for her paychecks and for the food that we had in the fridge, which we didn't have a lot either because, like I said, she didn't depend on the government. So, but so she was always working. So I was, during the summertime, like you said, right now, when people are at work, what are your kids doing? And that was kind of the deal. It's kind of like was I doing, and just wanting to hang out, wanting to be seen.
Yeah.
Yeah, not really having no structure, no discipline. It all matters. It all ties in together. But keeping your kids structured, like you said, is important too. Like just trying to tell your kids like plan out your day, make sure you're being active, make sure you're doing things, not just sitting around
Yeah.
letting your mind wander. They say idle hands in the devil's workshop. So I think that's
Yeah, dude. I got saying all that. I want to give a big shout out to Wasion Boxing Club. Who else? They got a demolition fight team in Findlay. Defiance used to have a boxing one, but I don't know if anything's going on here anymore.
Yeah, I don't know.
House Hitters. I know there's one out in Henry County. All you guys that are doing that, keep doing it, man, because that helps build structure in these homes that are broken, and discipline. Yeah. And our youth need something to keep them busy, something to keep discipline in them, and give them a better reason just to be out running the streets, skipping school. I know it's summertime, but you with the wrong crowd that don't want to be in school, like you said, man, it's easy to do.
Yeah.
So that first time you got in trouble, what was it like? Once you got through probation, they dropped you. Then what happened next?
Yeah, on a juvenile prison, man. And my probation officer had no heart, dude. This dude was pretty rough, dude. He didn't care. And it's pretty sad when you see probation officers that are doing this, dealing with kids, man, that don't care about seeing them get better. They just want to lock them up. That's kind of how this guy was. He didn't really care at all about me getting better at all, dude. Dude was awful, man. But
really?
Yeah, terrible dude. But whatever. Either way, though, he was ready to lock me up. That's what they did. I was supposed to go do 6 months. Did about a little 3-month deal. But 3 months is long enough. Enough as a kid. You're a kid. Yeah, you're a kid. You know what I mean? You're just used to doing kid stuff. Yeah, three months is long enough, dude. So, But that's how that went.
And that was at JDC, or that was at?
Nope, that was in the hills. That was in Cuyahoga Hills that I went there. And yeah, dude, a lot of rough young men in that place, man. All they want to do is fight. Yeah, I mean, all the testosterone flowing with these guys. So, you know what I'm saying? That's yeah, that was a rough little place to go.
I bet, man. Tell me about it. What was the day? What was the day like in there?
Oh man, well, you know, I think that was the first time I ever had to drop all my clothes in front of somebody when I got in there in the first place. But you get in there and you're hearing, you know, alarms go off right away with young guys fighting. That's all they did every day was fight. So, but I was lucky enough to, I don't know, everything kind of went my way when I was in that place, bro. Everything seemed to go my way. It seemed to go just right, just perfectly. It just seemed I was in the right place at the right time. Sounds weird. Obviously, I'm in prison, so I'm not necessarily at the right place at the right time. But every little move that happened in there, it just seemed like God was kind of watching over me in that place. And I just remember being so grateful to just, I don't know, just kind of have like the best experience I possibly could have had in there. But it was still pretty crazy. But
Yeah, I bet. A power of prayer.
yeah, power of prayer, power of a praying mother for sure. So,
Yeah. So after that 3 months, you came home. What was it like when you come home?
yeah, obviously, it's always weird whenever you come home, obviously, because, you know, even as an adult, being locked up, coming home, it's always a weird feeling. But, you know what I'm saying? Because you're used to that routine in prison. I think that's why so many people get institutionalized too. When they get in there, they're used to that routine. People telling them what to do, when to take a crap, when to eat, when to shower, when to brush their teeth.
I believe that.
So, you know what I'm saying? And I think that's definitely a reason why people get so institutionalized. They get so dependent on the system in there. And
But I think it's a structure that we've never had, and so it's easy to, for me. I mean, looking in the military, and then looking at people that's been in prison. You know, sure, stateside is different, but when you cross seas, it's not much different. You know, you're gonna still follow all the rules. It's not gonna be like living here in the states. You don't have as much. Sure, you know it's different, but that structure of being institutionalized is still there. You know, this is the routine they set for you. You're gonna get up, do your personal hygiene, go to the restroom, go do your workout, go have breakfast, come back, do your training. You know, go home, square yourself away, get to bed, and the same thing starts over tomorrow. And so I feel like when people are not used to the structure, and then they go in and you're forced into that structure, it kind of changes you. You know, you get used to it, and you like it because you've never had it.
yeah,
And still, for me to this day, I've been out of the military since pretty much 2016, and when my schedule gets messed up, it throws my whole day off because I'm used to such a routine
yeah,
that I have,
yeah,
and it's almost like this effect that it plays on my mind, if you will.
yeah,
I'm like, man, I feel like crazy because I'm not on my schedule.
yeah. No,
Something's
yeah,
off. The weekend comes and I won't eat all day because I'm used to eating at certain times of the day.
yeah,
And by the time I know it, I'm like, man, it's 8 o'clock. I haven't even ate nothing all day because
yeah.
I didn't follow my schedule because I'm not.
It's all messed up.
It's all messed up. You know what I'm saying?
No, yeah, exactly. I just thought it was funny how you say you know you like it, you know, you like it because you never had that schedule, and it's weird because it is kind of a subconscious like thing where you do like it. You're like, yeah, I feel, yeah, like
Almost that placebo effect.
yeah, but you know, and that has to go with, you know, being a man and needing purpose. It's kind of like they give you a purpose, but it's a weird purpose. It's a purpose of waking up and going to chow and freaking.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily a purpose, but they give you structure.
structure. And
Yeah.
you know that was my thing in the military is, and that's what I have. Saying this, it makes me think of the kids because um, a lot of them don't have purpose and they look crazy
Yeah.
because they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. And that was one thing I found in the military that really helped me is the military gave me purpose. You know what I'm saying? I had a reason to be there.
Yeah.
My reason was because, well, number one, there's the guy next to me. Number two is the country.
Yeah.
You know, my job is to defend the country. And I mean, sure, nowadays people are going to have their says about the military, but whatever. But I mean, for me, it helped me find my purpose. I feel like, and I think that was a blessing, man, because I didn't know I was lost as a kid, and I think that's part of the problem with these kids nowadays is they're just lost, dude. They don't, you know, some of them don't even know how to. And it's not that I'm not making fun of them, okay? So don't take this the wrong way, but some of them can't even read and write. You know, there was a 19-year-old that graduated with honors, and college wouldn't accept her because she was literally illiterate or like dysfunctionally. How do I want to say it? She was illiterate, and she couldn't read and write, and so she learned everything off of AI, and that's how she graduated with honors. So then when she went to the college level and started applying, like, well, you can't even read and write, so we can't let you in. And that's crazy for the day, like for today's day and age, man. These kids, they can't even read and write. You know, how are you going to find your purpose if you can't even read and write? And I mean, I know I've heard of the dumbing down of society. I guess I never really thought it would be this fast or happen in this way. You know what I'm saying? And so now to look at kids to try to figure out stressors, and it goes back to like when we was kids. Like I was saying, man, we had so many more learning experiences as a kid because we didn't have electronics, we didn't have phones.
Yeah.
And if you didn't have a house phone, we had to use a pay phone. You know, and so the way we learned and managed things was different compared to nowadays with kids. They don't do anything and have any real life experiences until they're probably about 17, 16 years of age because they get a car and they finally start to leave the house and do things on their own. Yeah. But the moment they do it, it's a huge meltdown, you know? And then what do? You know, how do you cope then?
Yeah.
You know, so then of course you're around all your friends and they're like, oh, we'll just smoke a cigarette or take this pill or, you know, lighten up the load, have fun. What's that lead into?
Yeah.
You know, just a huge addiction problem.
Yeah.
Because you don't know how to manage coping skills yet.
Yeah.
And I think it's a big thing. It's a big thing is teaching kids how to manage their coping skills. You know. So, but back to our subject here on drugs and alcohol. What next, man? You went to prison. You came back. What happened there?
Yeah. Once again, man, I think just being lazy. I was lazy. I didn't got out, and I couldn't tell you exactly what the heck I wanted to do, man. So I just got out and just didn't do anything. Didn't do anything. So just got out, didn't do anything. Laziness led me to being, getting back into the same circles, getting high. But just like what you were saying with the youth, man, that's why I try to instill into my kids, man, just having that structure and discipline, because I know that's what I didn't have. But eventually, after I dropped out of school, so I went back to school, obviously, but once again, being lazy led me to dropping out of school. I kind of wanted to do what my older brother JP did, and that's what he did. He dropped out of school. He got his GED, but that was pretty much my father figure. That was the father figure I had to look up to right there. Not having my dad, JP was the closest thing I had to dad. So, he kind of looked out for me a lot when I was a kid. Bought me clothes, put some clothes on my back. I remember him working at Taco Bell and just bringing me some, new shirts and some clothes, buying me clothes. I think he felt a sense of, fatherly responsibility towards me too at some point, even though we kind of beefed a lot because we're brothers and that's what we do. But he bought me my first PlayStation as well.
Okay.
And but that was the only dad I had to look up to. He dropped out of school, and pretty much I was kind of like, I think that's what I'm gonna do too. I think I'm just gonna drop out. So dropped out of school and didn't have no sense of direction. Once again, didn't work, had no work ethic, zero work ethic. Led me to be super lazy, and just leech off my mom for as long as I could, get high all the time, work for like, a month before I lost my job because that's, had no work ethic, zero work ethic. So yeah, that's pretty much eventually what led me to get back into, doing heroin. Got around some old friends again, and ended up getting into opiates. I guess I should say opiates first, pills. That's where I first started at pills. I know you remember the OxyContin
Yeah.
epidemic that was going on before the heroin hit hard, the fentanyl. We're all
Yeah,
talking about
dude.
fentanyl right now, but the OxyContin, that was the starter. You know what I'm saying? That's what a lot of people in my age group got started with, was the OxyContin. So
Isn't that crazy how much it's progressed?
yeah,
Now
oh
you
yeah,
gotta
it's
take
progressed big time.
tranquilizers and
Yeah,
God,
yeah.
horse horse crap. What is fentanyl used for, anyways? Isn't it like a for surgeries or something?
Well, they use that in hospice. They use that with people that are pretty much about to die. You know what I'm saying? That are in major pain, about to die, probably cancer patients. You know what I'm saying? That are pretty much on their last few days. That just to ease the pain for them guys. They give them fentanyl patches, I believe.
Wow.
I've even heard of people getting fentanyl patches back when they were doing the OxyContin. People getting those from people in hospice and putting them on their tongue. I think you apply the patches to the skin, um, but yeah, people tearing them in little pieces and putting them in their mouth. Um, but yeah, no, that's what that's used for. And eventually, it started flooding the borders, and it started getting put into the heroin. Because it's cheaper. It was a lot cheaper than the heroin was. So they were cutting the heroin with fentanyl, and before you know it, it's just pure fentanyl at this point. Man, I don't even know if freaking real heroin's out there anymore. It's freaking just fentanyl that's flooding the streets, and that's pretty much how I OD'd my damn self. And OD'd several times. Yeah, so you know what I mean. And once again, by the grace of God, I'm still alive because Lord knows I should have been dead. Man, the amount of times I OD'd, especially when you're on the highway and you wake up on the side of the road, just perfectly parked on the side of the road. I don't know how that
Stop.
happened. Yeah, that was one instance that I got a DUI. It was snowing, and I passed out on the highway. You know what I'm saying? You know how busy the Toledo highway
Dog.
is, 424. And I woke up to a police officer knocking on the window, just ding, ding, ding,
Stop.
ding, and I was on the side. I was on the side of the highway, just parked. I don't know if I was parked or if the snow was so thick that it slowed me down because I let off the gas, but it slowed me down, and I just went off to the side, and that's where I stopped. I don't even know if I was in park, but and either way, she woke me up. Female officer woke me up, and yeah, I caught a DUI there. But yeah, that was just one instance right there where God was looking out for me. Could have been in a horrific accident. Um, yeah, not the only time either that happened on the highway. So I let on another instance. I let cops on a high speed chase that wasn't very high speed. It was just pretty much slow heroin speed
Wow.
is what it was. But apparently the cops were following me for miles. I had about three. You know, by the time I realized what was happening, I had about three officers behind me following me with their lights on, and I pulled off on the exit. Didn't realize it. I must have been in and out of it. Didn't realize it. Pulled off the nearest exit, and then I had the cops surrounding my car, their guns drawn on me, telling me to get out, and I got out. But Lord knows I could have been in an accident there too. So I don't even know. I think Jesus literally took the wheel on that one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude.
Both times.
He's got some grace. He's got some
Yeah.
grace for you, man. He loves you. You got a
Oh,
story to
for sure.
tell. So real quick, let's go back a little bit. When when you came out, you said you was just lazy. A parent sees that. All right. Looking now as a parent, what would be the best move to do if someone's in and if someone has a kid that was in your situation right now? What would you tell the parent to do?
That was in my situation, like getting high. That they caught him getting high. Like,
Yeah, so the kid comes out. He's already been in trouble. He's just in the same position. You said you was being completely lazy, just didn't have any care for much. It would be hard as a parent, right? But what would you tell that parent? What's the best thing for that kid right now?
man, that's tough. Making sure they're active, man. Making sure they're active. They're busy. They're working. They're doing something. I just wasn't doing anything. I was doing nothing, bro. Like I was just.
So I guess on that, did you fight your mom? Did your mom try to get you motivated?
Nah, I don't think she did, and it wasn't just because she didn't want to. But once again, mom was working to pay the bills, and she just wasn't there enough, dude. I come home, and I think she was just happy to have me home.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? As a juvenile, when I went to prison, dude, it freaking broke her, bro. Like, I remember, I remember my brother JP, like, bro, you better never go back to prison again, dude. Mom was crying for days like somebody died, dude. He's like,
It's gonna be tough.
he's like, she was crying like somebody died. And I felt bad, obviously. But yeah, didn't know what the heck to do. I eventually, though, didn't go back to juvenile prison after that. I was able to somehow stop smoking weed. Um, Even though I wanted to do really bad because that's what all my friends were doing.
Yeah.
But I wasn't. So I don't know. I somehow was able to stop. but but yeah. But yeah, just I mean, as a parent, telling your kids, I think making sure they stay busy, active, sports, dude. I mean, I was still in high school at that time. Getting into sports. Sports are crucial, man. They're so crucial when they're young, starting off. So I make sure all my kids are in sports. They have no choice.
Yeah, that's good.
You know what I mean? They get to choose which one they want to go into. Which we live in a baseball town, so it's most likely going to be baseball for my daughter's softball. But yeah, you got to keep them busy. You got to keep them active. It's the way they stay out of trouble. So
Right. So if it's, I mean, all right. Say you have a parent out there right now has the same situation, but their kids just fighting them.
yeah.
Just let them fight you, or still do it. Still force them to be busy,
No, heck
force them to
no.
get a job.
Heck, yeah, dude.
Just put your foot down.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, especially and it's tough if you're talking about a mother in the home. I know mothers they don't know what to do or not don't know what to do. I don't want to diminish the motherhood. Diminish the mothers and what they
Right.
what they bring to the table, obviously. But having a father in the house is important. So if I'm saying if I'm talking to a fatherless home, I'm gonna say definitely talk to dad. If I'm a mom, I'm not gonna try to definitely do it alone. I'm definitely talking to dad and being like, "Yo, talk to your kid, talk to your son," because dads just bring that element to the table that what I'm saying that mothers don't have. Mothers got the loving, the nurturing side, and dads we got that disciplinary side. We got the firmer hand, the stronger hand there. So I definitely would talk to dad, get dad involved.
Question on that.
Yeah.
So let's say dad's not around. What would you tell as a father? What advice would you give that mom? Being that she's playing the father role
The
right
father
now.
role alone. Yeah. Definitely don't be lax. Definitely be firm. Definitely be. You got to let them know. Like, look, this is the way it's gonna go. I'm not gonna have you here. I don't know. Threaten to kick them out, and even kick them out. You know, if you got to, if it comes to that, what I'm saying, because they're not gonna do. They're just gonna keep continuing doing what they're doing if you're enabling them, because that's all you're doing. If you're letting them stick around after they get into all this crap, and you're just letting them stick around and let them do whatever the heck they want to do. So I don't know. Let them get a taste of the streets if you got to. I don't know. Obviously, that's pretty dramatic, but if you think your kid's teachable, I'd definitely consider what I'm saying. Trying to teach them or getting somebody else involved. Getting a close family friend. I don't know. They got an uncle. They got an uncle they can talk to. They got somebody they can talk to. They got somebody from church that they trust that they know. They got anybody.
Yeah.
Get somebody that that's been in a similar situation as them. I mean, you got to know somebody that's in a good place that had a bout with drugs, and that's also how I feel myself is having gone through what I can go through. I can bring that to the table with a nephew or a niece, because my brothers didn't go through that. So
Yeah.
if in the event that one of my kids, one of my nieces or nephews go through that, they know. I know one of my brothers or sisters would reach out to me and be like, "Yo, I want to have a conversation with my kid,"
Yeah.
because they know I've had that experience. So if you're a single mom, I'd definitely be reaching out to somebody. Um, you know what I mean? I'd reach out to somebody if dad's not around. So.
Right. During all that, what was the hardest part going through all of it that you've said so far? What was the hardest part for you making it through? So you went through, would you say it was juvenile prison? Would you say it was just because you said, coming home, was it the weed because you wanted to smoke so bad? What was that first part? What was the hardest step for you to get through on that part of the journey?
Yeah, well, as a juvenile, as speaking from as a juvenile, it was just I don't know. I really don't even know, to be quite honest with you. I knew I had to stop smoking weed, and like I said, somehow I did at that point. Um, and eventually got off juvenile probation. But as an adult, definitely just had to get around different people,
Yeah.
and that's probably what it. Honestly, that probably would have been the smarter situation or smarter thing to do as a juvenile as well. I didn't get around different people, but somehow I was able to quit. But as an adult, definitely had to get myself around a different circle because you are what you eat, and show me your friends, I'll show you your future. I mean, all that still holds true today. It's all might
Yeah.
all sound cliche, but it's all real. So
It is, man. They say the 5 people that you're around is who you're going to become.
yeah,
You start hanging around with a bad bunch,
yeah,
you're going to become the next bad apple.
yeah. Even family members, bro. So
I guess
yeah,
if you look at it like fruit, if you have fruit and the one strawberry, we use strawberry that's touching the ground, if it starts to rot and another strawberry touches that, what happens?
yeah,
It begins to rot too.
yeah,
You know, the ones that are separated are still pretty good for a little while, but once they start touching that rotted section, that rotten is going to start transferring to them.
yeah.
So yeah, man, that's 100% true.
Absolutely.
Now, after that point, was it all peaches and cream or no? So after you quit smoking weed, was it cool or still a good struggle of times?
No, yeah, yeah. Once again, yeah. No, always a struggle. Always a struggle as a young man with no direction, man. So, and as a kid with no direction, that you're just gonna do whatever is right in the moment. So that's pretty much what I did, and definitely led me to my adult circumstances and getting in trouble for selling drugs and getting high and getting on adult probation and getting locked up there as an adult too as well. And yeah, that was
So did you ever come off juvenile probation, or was it a transfer of probation from juvenile to adult?
no, just yeah, just I got off juvenile probation. Yeah,
Okay.
just got on adult probation and on separate charges, basically.
So what happened then once you got off juvenile? How long was you good for before? Did you have a relapse? What happened that got you back into trouble?
Yeah, I mean, probably a few years I would go, I was fine, but once again, just not really having any purpose and just hanging around the wrong crowd. That's what got me on the OxyContin there, and definitely just being around the wrong people. So got into the pills. Started trying to sell the pills so I could get high for free. That was the way us junkies tried to do it back in the day, and try to get a pill and
Right.
and sell some pills so we can just have free pills. You know what I mean? And just selling to get high, and pretty much what led to me to get in trouble. I had a wire war on me, and got in trouble for I got hit with 3 charges here for selling a half a pill of OxyContin, and yeah, that's how they do in Defiance. So it doesn't matter. They try to slap you with the full extent of the law here. So yeah,
Half a pill.
yeah, yep, yeah. When I tell people that story, especially when I was in prison and I was telling one of the prison guards about it, why are you here? I was like, man, I sold a half a pill of OxyContin and got hit with 3 felonies. Dude was shocked. He's like, you kidding me, dude? That I've been a slap on the wrist. He's like, around here in the bigger cities, but yeah, half a pill. Yeah, they hit me with drug trafficking, aggravated substance abuse, and one other charge that I can't really remember. But yeah, they try to slap me, and I remember speaking to the lawyer, and he's like, that's the reason they do the 3 charges is because when we do the plea deals, they'll drop one, but they'll make you plead to the others. You know what I mean? Because
Oh yeah, just trying to.
yeah, they want something to stick no matter what. So they don't care. They don't really care about at that time either. But I don't think they care anymore either. You don't see people getting in trouble as much for it nowadays because they want to they want to treat it. They're trying to treat it more like an addiction, and that's all it is. And they want to get you help. But I don't know, man. A lot of these people, they're getting away with they're getting away with murder nowadays,
Yeah.
and they seem to just keep going on a vicious cycle. But for me, I don't know. For me, it worked out, I guess. Even though it sucks, I get hit with those charges, had to go through everything I went through. It obviously all led me to the right place that I needed to be in. So, as you know, freaking after going through, doing pretty much all my time in jail and in prison, I went to Teen Challenge as well. So,
And what's Teen Challenge?
Teen Challenge, yeah, it's a Christian rehabilitation program. So they have them several places all over America. Um, um, the one I went to was in South Dakota, Brookings, South Dakota, and obviously I went there through Pastor Kyle, as you know, Experience Church here. They got planted in
Now, when you
Defiance.
when you said you did all your time, and so that was that part of your charge that you had to go to there, or on top of your time in jail and prison, you still had to go do this, or was it something separate? How did that come about?
Yeah, well, I pretty much did all my time. By that time, I had done all my time. I had already done months in prison, months in jail, months in other programs, a search program at Bowling Green. So by this time, I pretty much did all my time that, I was charged with, initially for the couple charges that I had. So by the time I got to Teen Challenge, I was pretty much almost done with all my time, and I didn't even want to go to Teen Challenge. So because of how long the program is, it's a 16-month program. So when I was told that when I was told that this program was 16 months, I'm already thinking to myself, man, I don't want to go there, bro.
You already just did like what, 13?
Yeah. So yep, I pretty much did all my time, which was about 13 months. I did maybe 11 months, altogether of what I did. So when I'm being told that this program is 16 months, my mom really wanted me to go. She was pushing me to go. So that's why it even got brought up in court. But I had no intention of going, and but obviously everything kind of worked out. To where I went, I pretty much, I was at some point in court where pretty much God just ain't give me no choice but to go.
Let's hear that story.
Well, yeah, I was, like I said, I had no intention of going. Pastor Kyle apparently had already spoke to the judge, and so I don't know when he spoke to the judge, but when I got to see my lawyer in the back room and he was asking me what we wanted to do, I just wanted to go to a Fresh Start program, which I believe is in Napoleon, but that program is only a 3-month program. So I'm thinking to myself, I just want to go to this Fresh Start program. That'll be it. That'll be my time. Hopefully they'll just let me on probation. And that's all I have to do as opposed to the 16-month program in South Dakota. So I was like, there's just no way I'm going to go do this. So when I'm talking to my lawyer in the back room, I'm talking to him and I'm like, hey, look, he's like, what do you want to do? I'm like, look, you're probably going to get asked by the judge about a teen challenge because this pastor spoke to him about it. And, if he brings it up, I want you to let him know that I don't want to go to this program because I just don't want to go. Just don't want to go. I don't know if I gave him the reason why I didn't want to go, that I didn't want to go because it was a long program or if that I just didn't want to go. But I told him basically I don't want to go to that program. I want to go to Fresh Start. So if you could bring up Fresh Start to the judge, tell him that I want to go there. And that'll be it. You know what I'm saying? That'll be all there is to it. So just make sure you tell him that, I'm not doing Teen Challenge. So eventually when we get done talking and we go to see the judge, sit in front of the judge, mind you, this is right after we spoke in the back room. It wasn't like there was a long period of time for him to have forgotten what I told him. You know what I mean?
Right.
We went to this back room, then we went straight to see the judge. It was just bam, bam. So he's talking to the judge and the judge is talking to me and he's talking about what I want to do or what I think I should be done. And, he's sick of seeing me because I've seen him for I've seen him like 10 times at this point. But I'm just telling him I want to go to Fresh Start, and that's what I want to do. And I think I've been doing pretty good, and I think Fresh Start will be good for me. And the judge is just sitting there thinking about it for a long time. He's just kind of thinking it over, mowing it over in his mind. And yeah, I remember there was just a dead silent in the room for like a few minutes as he was sitting there pondering, and then all of a sudden he's like, I think I was talking to somebody about a teen challenge, and you going to teen challenge, and he's like, what happened there? Are you, what happened there? He's like, do you want to go there? And I remember just looking at my lawyer, like, answer for me, you know what I'm saying? Because I told you what I wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? You speak for me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And yeah, just stared at him. Him and I are in a deadlock gaze, and he doesn't say a word. and I'm thinking to myself, what the heck is this guy doing? And at that point, I just knew God was like, He wasn't giving me a choice, and that I had to go. And I remember just breaking down, crying in front of the judge, and just kind of nodded my head and was like, "Yeah, I'll go." And that's pretty much all there wrote. That's pretty much all there was of that. And yeah, the rest is history. Went to Teen Challenge and did the whole 16-month bid there, which was one of the greatest blessings of my life. So changed my life. Great place. Brookings, South Dakota, led by Big Mike Gilmartin, Big Dog. Go ahead.
So when you when you left to Teen Challenge, you went to court. That happened. Was it immediately after court, week, day? They have a bed open ready for you, or how was that process? Did you have a lot of time to sit there and think about it, or no?
Yeah, yep. I was there, and I was there waiting to go for like 3 months, probably. You know what I'm saying?
Man.
Like, like, man, about 3 months, give or take. But I just sat there and just was, thinking, of all the reasons why I should go to this place, and eventually just had a phone interview with Mike Gilmartin and talked to him, and give him a little, it's the initial process they go through there. But he was telling me they had a bed ready for me to go, and he just asked me a lot of questions about why I think I should go and why I wanted to go, and I really didn't have any answers besides, God, he wanted me to go, but that's not what I told him. I just was like, tell him that maybe I'll go there to broaden my horizons. And he's like, I don't know what you're thinking about broadening your horizons, but that's not what this is for. But he's pretty hardcore, man. One of the greatest men of God I ever met. But great guy, great loving guy. But
he teach you a lot of stuff in there.
Oh yeah. You got to listen to Mike preach every Friday. They had a little chapel in there, beautiful building there in South Dakota. They're a nonprofit organization, so everything they get there is from donations and from the work the men go out and do there themselves. They put you to work there every day for a few hours, so they make money through that as well. But yeah, you got to listen to Mike Gilmartin every Friday. He preached in the chapel, and then Wednesday we had more chapel, and then Sunday we had chapel, and then Saturday night we had chapel. So a lot of chapel, a lot of learning about God, a lot of class. But yeah, Mike was very passionate about the Bible and about God. Great man of God for sure.
That's awesome. What was one of the things you remember that sticks with you to today that he taught you?
Well, to love the word, man. Just love the word, which obviously I slack on. I think a lot of Christians can admit they'd slack on getting in the word, but man, that man loved the word. He loved the Psalms. He always read out the Psalms. The way he read from the scripture, man, he just loved it, and you knew he loved it the way he read it. But so he taught you to just love the word, man, and you know what I'm saying, and be spirit led through that.
That's what's up. So you spent the full 16 months there?
Yep. I went to the first 10 months there in the regular part of the program. They had a reentry program after that, where they get you back integrated into society, working again, and giving you a structure throughout your daily life as being a man, and obviously you still a lot of accountability there. That's a big accountability program. Like they're all about it. They're all about you telling on yourself and telling on other people and
integrity.
Yeah, a lot of the guys didn't like that, and including myself, to be honest with you. I just didn't like having to tell on people. I never told on anybody. I hated it.
Right. No, I get that. No, integrity is a big thing I do that I feel that's missing, and I feel like everybody nowadays hates accountability.
Yeah.
And then when you have friends that can hold you accountable, it's not always going to be what you want to hear. You know what I'm saying? Accountability hurts.
Yeah.
People got to tell you the truth, and man, sometimes we don't want to hear the truth because that really does hurt.
No, we don't.
Yeah, man. So when you got done with the 16 months, how was that? What would that look like for you when you came home?
Well, yeah, coming home from there is just like coming home from jail, really. But I mean, it's just weird being back home after all that time there. But either way, super blessed to have gone through that program.
I guess quick question on that. Would you recommend parents looking into a program like that if their kids,
Yeah.
they can't get their kids to
Yeah.
just motivate them, or
Yeah,
they're just
absolutely.
fighting?
Anything spirit led, anything Christian based, man. These are good values to have. You know, even Mike Gilmartin said one time during a sermon, which I thought was kind of funny because you don't hear many people talk about that, but you know, he was like, you know, even do what the word says to do, even if it turns out in the end when you die there is no God, there is no heaven. He's like you have lived a much better life having followed the word, no matter what, no matter what.
Yeah.
Which obviously he believes in God, he believes in Christ. We all do, or you know, and I do. Everybody there does as well. Um, so you know he's not telling you, you know what I'm saying, there's no God and just follow the word.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, but what he's saying is true, man. The Bible has so much wisdom in it, to teach you how to be a man, to teach you how to be a good wife, a Proverbs wife, to teach you how to everything.
Proverbs. I feel like if you want to learn how to live, Proverbs is the book to get some integrity from.
Yeah,
You know, it's a very good book of learning.
It'll teach you integrity. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so when you got home, you're doing good at that point.
Yeah, no, yeah, for a couple years I got me a job and was doing pretty good for a few years, and built up a pretty good rep, attending church regularly, getting involved in the church, on the dream team at the church, basically volunteering, you know, my time, doing great stuff, man. I don't know, I had a lot of ideas about what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, and, you know what I'm saying, and, you know, just working, but, you know, eventually just idle hands again. I got caught up in not doing too much and not having any purpose really. And it wasn't that I was lazy anymore, because honestly, going through Teen Challenge definitely gave me a really good work ethic and gave me a really good structure. But just really having no sense of purpose really, and what I wanted to do with my life, led me eventually to get back into, you know, doing drugs again. I relapsed after about 2 years of being out, and you know, I had got on probation, but you know, after about 2 years, I relapsed. And I was getting high again for about a good year, another year. But I got in trouble with the law. I got a DUI, and I got put on probation, in Toledo, and I had one more overdose in Toledo, and that was the last time I ever got high, and been sober ever since. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Praise God. Nowadays, what do you do when you feel like you're stressed out? Instead of using drugs to get your dopamine, what's the new thing?
yeah, the new thing is definitely gym. I mean, as you know, man, I like to hit the gym a lot. It's been, you know, I think I got my gym, my desire to be a fit and strong from Teen Challenge as well, because they encouraged that. They had a weight room there at Teen Challenge, and that's where that started. I eventually started slacking off though when I got out, but getting back into that has definitely taught me a lot more about discipline. I mean, you got to be really disciplined to go to the gym every day on a regular basis, and to focus on your diet and on your nutrition. I mean, these things take intention. You know what I'm saying? They don't just happen. I mean, nobody wakes up and wants to go to the gym.
Right.
I mean, we kind of do. You know what I mean? There's times where we kind of do, because we love the progress, especially when we start seeing results.
Yeah.
So that's when we really love to go. But you know, when you're out of shape, nobody really wants to go.
Hard.
We know we know we have a goal of looking better and being healthier. We know that. We're just not seeing it yet, and we want instant results, right? We're all about instant gratification. So we want what we want, and we want it now. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It ain't about, you know, it ain't about the work that goes into it. We need that instantaneous. But you know, once you start seeing the results, you start feeling better, you start seeing the fruits of your labor, it definitely becomes an addiction. And I'd say for me, that's definitely become a newfound addiction for me, is going to the gym, being intentional about my body and what I'm putting into it, and trying to stay in the word as much as I can, which, you know, if I could be totally transparent, I definitely slack on from time to time. But going to church and being a good dad. So,
Yeah. That, I mean, when you see your kids doing things better, I feel like it's the gratification you get instantly when you see your kids
oh, yeah.
having success and doing good.
Yeah.
But yeah, the gym, dude, I love the gym, especially for me with my PTSD. It's a way to get my mind back on track, relieve stress. And I mean, people don't notice how much dopamine it actually creates.
Yeah.
And when when someone self-medicates, you're causing your dopamine to go up. And people don't realize, like, the dopamine won't reset naturally for like 14 months.
Yeah.
That's a long time. So, if you're self-medicating and you're at a point to where it's hard and you're ready to quit, hit the gym. Because the gym is going to help your dopamine come up.
Yeah.
It's going to come relieve that stress. I'm just saying, I have to use that as an outlet.
Yeah.
I have to. Not only for my PTSD, but it helps me with my temptations. I had addictions.
Yeah.
And I don't know, when you come home from cross seas, it's kind of weird to say, but you get addicted to your adrenaline.
Yeah.
I got addicted to my heart racing. It feels good.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird to say, but man, yeah, dude, the gym, I love it. How many days a week you go?
Yeah, man, I hit it 5 days a week. You know what I'm saying? 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off. Obviously Sunday is reserved for just chilling. That's the day of reverence. You know what I'm saying? So I like to take Sundays off. I take my Thursdays off. So it's usually the same days every week, Thursday, Sunday. But I keep that little rotation going and just, mixing the muscle groups. And yeah, man.
I feel that. Man, I think we've pretty much wrapped up what we can in an hour. We're almost in an hour now.
Yeah.
But I want to run it back. I know there's more to talk about.
Yeah, always more to talk about, definitely.
Especially on this subject. So many people in America are just struggling, and they don't know a way out.
Yeah, no, definitely, man. And I think it's our responsibility to give back, right?
Yeah, man. Because I was looking at a little parable, I guess, if you will, the other day, and it was talking about this frog that got a candle, and I was just telling Coach Carter about it, the same thing the other day, but they were saying that, like, the frog had this candle, and he was always afraid to let the candle shine, so he'd always like cover it and try to keep it from going out, and it got foggy, and it got hard for him to see because he was covering it, and people that were behind him couldn't see. They were just losing, going off the trail. But when he got to the end, he was kind of questioned about it, and they were telling him, man, like, the light was that candle was never given just for you. It was never given just to burn and create light for you. It's meant for everybody.
Yeah.
Because the one thing we know, man, is quitting addiction's hard.
Yeah.
Trying to leave an addiction is hard.
Absolutely.
And that's something that few people can do on their own.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Few people can do on their own. If you have the discipline, you can do it. It's still gonna suck. I'm not gonna lie, but it's not gonna be as easy as it's said.
No.
So, but if you're in that situation, I just want to encourage you to keep going, man. Don't fall to temptation. The more we resist it, the easier it's gonna get. And I'll tell you, if you are struggling, tap in with me. Let me know, man. I'll help you. I'll talk to you. I know it's not easy. No, man, I struggled with amphetamines for a while. That was hard. It was hard, man. Coming off things are not easy. So don't struggle alone. Reach out. I'll pray with you. I'm sure Gabe will too. But Gabe, man, I appreciate you talking with me. This is a hard conversation.
Yeah.
It's really hard to talk about our faults and our downfalls. But that's part of what makes us a better person, a better human, a better father, and a better man.
Yeah.
Trying to overcome the old toxic ways.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you being open and raw, man.
Yeah.
Let me know another date, and then we'll keep on conversating. Maybe talk about other things.
Absolutely.
Dives into.
Yeah, let's get it.
I'm finally glad we got this one covered.
Yeah.
I think we tried like 2 other times.
Yeah.
And we just had some problems with it. I think the enemy just did not want this to happen, and that's okay. We're gonna keep trying until we get it.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for being here. Like, share, and subscribe. Y'all have a blessed day.